Hello everyone, this is Michael Gass, PDS Equipment. Today we are going to talk about texture in Rasterlink and how we can create it, what we're doing, how to get it where you want to be, and how to get it done quickly. So we're going to cover texture basics. We're going to cover texture in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to cover texture in Photoshop, and we're going to cover texture in the other white meat, AI. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is look at this job that I've created here. So this is Beyond the Beam. This is so 2025. Beyond the Beam 2025. It was a great event. Braden's event in Denver. He was kind enough to invite me. We had a blast. So we got there. We were going to be showing everybody hat patches. So we actually, on the fly, using AI, created this hat patch. I think we said give us a Beyond the Beam 2025 round stitched hat patch with some mountains and trees. And it spit this out first try, and we all loved it. So we took this file and then I created a black and white version of the file. Now, we're not going to get into all the tools and tricks I use to do this just yet. We will when we get into Photoshop, but we're not there yet. So, but what I want you to notice about this is it's an all black and white image. And when we're creating it, what we do is we look at our image and we ask ourselves, what do we want to be high? What do we want to be low? And what we want to be high should be dark. What we want to be low should be light. What we want to be our floor should be white. And if you notice, I went in here and I've got a good white base back behind everything so that we really get some contrast in our texture. We get some really high and some really low points. If you create a file that's got a lot of gray in it and no white, you build everything up and it doesn't get the contrast that you want. So when you're building texture, the first step is to think dark is high, light is low, white is my floor. Because we're going to use volume of ink to create texture. We're not going to think about color. Once we're done with this, we're going to put white on top of it and we're going to put our color on top. When we print this as texture, it looks really cool. When we print the color, it looks really great. When we put the two together, it becomes absolutely amazing. So we're going to take this and we're going to come over into Illustrator, into Rasterlink. So here's my file. Here's my color file. I've already created a white valid pixel plate. And here's my texture file. So I'm going to take my texture file, and if I were to print this, the key to texture is overprints. I can take any file in the world and put my overprints at 4, 5, 6, 7, even 9. 9 is our limit. If we want more than 9, we have to do it in 2 smaller passes, which you can, we've done. But if we take any file and we increase our overprints, our colors are going to get lost because it's just all going to get real dark because we're putting so much ink down, but we're going to get texture. You're going to get the texture that the file gives you. But when we start creating texture files, that's when we can tell it what to do instead of it telling us what to do. So we take that file, we do 7 overprints, we print it, we come back, we put the white and color on top, and we're going to have texture. The problem is just printing black as texture. It's going to take a while, and we're in a hurry. We got money to make. We got people to see. We got things to do. So we want to print this as fast as we can. So what we do is we come over here to job attributes. We go full color. We go monocolor, and we make our black black, and we click OK. And now when we print it, it's going to print texture faster. And you're sitting here saying, you just converted black to black and you're telling me it's going to print faster. Here's why. When we go to the monocolor, we bypass the ink limits, we bypass the profile, and we print our maximum amount of color. So I can take the same file and print 5 overprints. And I can take that same file and go to monocolor replacement black to black and print it 5 and get much more texture. So we can go faster doing it that way. Well, that's not fast enough for us, folks. You know how we are. We're going to max it out. So we're going to take this and we're going to go down here to the duplication. I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 duplicates. So now we've got 4 of these. So I'm going to take the first one, and I'm going to go back up here. By the way, this has to be CMYK. It cannot be RGB. Now, my general rule is whatever my color file comes in, if it comes to me RGB, I'll leave it RGB. If it comes to me CMYK, I'll leave it CMYK. My texture file, I have to be CMYK or the full color to monocolor will not work. So I take my first one and I go monocolor setup, and I'm going to make it white. Now, if you were on a machine that had double whites, you'd click them both. I'm on a 7151 6 color, so I've just got one white here. Now, I'm going to take, once it gets done converting, I'm going to take my second one and I'm going to go monocolor setup, and I'm going to go black to black, which is already done. I'm going to take my third one and I'm going to go monocolor black to yellow. All right. If you can guess what I'm going to do next, you get a free attaboy. So next one I'm going to click on, I'm going to click setup, and I'm going to go to magenta. I'm going to click OK. And then the last one, if you can guess, you get an attaboy. That's right. You get an attaboy because we're going to go cyan. So attaboy. All right. It's late, y'all. I'm being silly. You're just going to have to put up with it. But I'm trying to go fast at the same time. So now we've got these 5 layers that we're going to select. We're going to come over here to our composition. We're going to link them all together. Now, we're going to print this texture file at 7 overprints. I want to clarify overprints versus passes. Passes is how many times it prints over the same place to bring our color in. If you notice when you print, it starts out light, and it's the more passes it gets darker. So if you're 8 passes, it's going to pass over the same place 8 times to bring our color in. That's how many passes it makes. Overprints is how many times it puts the same dot in the same place. So if I change my overprints to 2, I'm going to double my ink. My image is going to get darker. And if I go up here to 7, I'm basically going to be putting down a lot of ink, and it's basically going to be just a lot of dark colors, and you're going to lose all your contrast, but you're going to get texture. So we want to leave our passes at whatever we normally would do, and we're going to take our overprints. The higher you go, the more texture you're going to get. So we're going to go with a 7 overprints, and then we're going to print the texture, then we would come back and print the color in white. Well, that was a lot of button clicking. What if we could do this in one really quick step? And that's what we're going to do right now. So if you are on Rasterlink 6, you need to upgrade to 7. You can do that for free. If you go to mimakiusa.com, you can enter your Rasterlink 6 registration code. They'll spit you out a 7 for free, and you can upgrade. Then go to the latest version, which is 4.02. I'm on 4.01. I'm actually about to jump to 4.02. That's the latest version. It's good and safe. Make sure you're on the latest driver because we've got Job Creator in Rasterlink 7. So we're going to take our 5 textured layers that we just took all that time to build, and we're going to hit the backup button, and we're going to back that up. And I'm going to call that 5-layer texture, which I've already have one. So I would click save, say replace it, yes. So I just created a template called 5-layer. Then I hit File, Open Job Creator. Job Creator is going to open. And there's my 5-layer that I've already brought in. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to delete. So if you hit Info and hit the Delete button, then hit Delete again, it deletes the job. So from Job Creator, I'm going to hit Create. I'm going to go to Desktop, and I'm going to go to, got a little file down here called Texture Class. I'm going to click Open. It's not there because I put it in Mimaki Open House. I'm pretty sure, yeah. So click that, click Open. Then this file comes in. I'm going to name it 5-layer for texture. And then you got a memo that you can create. It's got a lot of room, so you can really get detailed. So creates a 5-layer CMYKW 7 pass at 600 by 600, 8 pass, 7 overprints, not 7 passes. So again, you can get as detailed as you want. Click Save, and it saves it. Then once you're in Job Creator, you click on the job, click Next, click Add an Image. I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to go to texture. I'm going to go to Beyond the Beam texture. I'm going to click open. And I'm going to drag it to each layer. Notice how it turns blue when I drag it. So you drag it 5 times. Bring this down a little bit. Then you click create. Check Rasterlink 7, close this. If we come over here, the job's processing and coming in. So we did all of that clicking initially. Now, once we're in Job Creator, we can just bring it in and we're ready to go. Now, once it comes in, it'll look just like this. It's going to jump in there any second now. And when it does, we print this. Then we come back and we print our color in white on top of it. So you can see there's our job that came in. It's identical to this one. So just to keep from being cluttered, I'm going to go ahead and delete that because we've already got it in there. But you can see how easy it is to use Job Creator. If you haven't used Job Creator, you really want to start using it. It does 2 things for you. It speeds you up and it keeps you from making mistakes. If you're like me, the more buttons you click, the more potential you have to make a mistake. So we print this at 7 overprints, then we come back and print our white and color, and we got it. But let's say we want to print all this at one time. What do? We select all the layers by holding down Shift and clicking. Get them all. Then we click this button, the composition, and this is very important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. White should be on top. You click the white, and you click retract after print. Then you click composite. And now what we've got is our texture is all going to print at 7 overprints, but our white and our colors only going to print on 1. If we come over here to our layer tab, it shows us that layer 1 is these 5 layers printed at 7 overprints. Layer 2 is these 2 layers printed at 1 overprint. Let's say I wanted to tuck my white in. I could click on that, correct the size, save that, and then create my Job Creator if I was having to choke my white back. So that's how we create texture in Rasterlink. Couple of exceptions. Let's say you want all white letters. Then we would just take our white and do our overprints on that. Let's say we want all black letters. I would take just my black. Actually, I would take my CMYK, do a rich black because it's going to come out quicker. And you can build up letters just in black or just in any color. If I take any color or 2 colors, and you can create, if you just want your whole letters looking down the sides to be that way. You can also do the same thing with clear. So that's how we create texture using the overprint function, and dark is high, light is low. And the way we go for the volume of ink is using that monocolor replace. I will say this, it's putting down a lot of ink. The cure is not quite as good as traditional printing because we're throwing so much ink down. So if you get in a situation where it's not curing enough, you may have to back off on the passes, or instead of doing 5 layers, you may do 3 layers and then do 2 overprints. You can still get as much texture, but if you are having cure issues, slow down a little bit. Depends on the machine, the lamp settings, a lot of stuff as to what's going on, but just be aware of that. All right. So that is the basics of creating texture. I know I'm going fast, but I'm trying to keep this video from being 2 hours long. So now we're going to get back into Illustrator and talk about how we're going to create texture in Illustrator. So we're going to go with this tiger logo. So I'm going to show you, this is a pixel-based file, and I just said, give me a tiger logo of Lauren County High School, and it spit this out. There isn't any Lauren County. I don't know of a Lauren County High School. My sister's name is Lauren, and I thought it would be a cool name for a school. So if you go to Lauren County High School, it's just a coincidence. So this is a vector-based file. So the first thing I want to do is if I'm going to build texture in a vector base in Illustrator, it has to be vector-based. So I took that file and I vectorized it. So this is the vector version. This is the pixel-based version. They're both good files. I could use either one. And again, when we're creating texture, we can still come back with our pixel-based file and put it on top. So I can look at these two and decide whichever one I like the most and use that for my texture-based, for my color-based file. Now, what I did for my texture was I took that file and I replaced colors with what I thought would look good high and what I thought would look good low. So I thought the nose and the whiskers and these whiskers around the mouth should be the highest. So I made them the darkest, 100% black. Then I wanted this around this orange. See, this is orange. I wanted the orange to be the next highest. So I made it a dark black. Then I wanted the black to be not quite as high, so I made it a lighter color, and then I wanted this to be my floor, so I left it white. Now, I'd probably come in here and change this to black, but if we take this and print it, then we're going to get, using that same technique, then we're going to get texture. So that's how we create texture in Illustrator. Now I'm going to show you a couple of tricks to help out with that. So we take our original file, and we're going to convert it to a vector based. So the first thing I do when I'm converting a file to vector based is I duplicate it, lock and hide my original, unlock this, click on it to highlight it. Then we're going to go Window, Image Trace. Then we're going to click on our file and we're going to image trace it. If advanced is not there, you click the advanced button. I have found that for me, almost always, I bring my paths up to 95% or so. I bring my corners up to 95% or so. Take my noise down to about 5%. That's kind of my baseline. That's where I start almost always with my files. There are exceptions. Drag those around, experiment with them. Now, I want a color file. This has, 5, 6, 7 colors in it. So I'm going to go with 6 colors. And then I'm going to click the preview button and it's going to trace it. And then we'll see what we have. All right. So my orange, if you look, it's actually 2 different oranges. I want those to be one orange. Everything else I like. So I'm going to change that to 5. Hit enter. It's going to trace it. And now this time my orange is all one orange. So I like that. So I hit expand. Then I hit object, ungroup all, because it is going to come in all groups together. And now I can take any color and do whatever I want with it. So the first thing I decided was the nose should be the highest thing. So I click on my nose, click on the color. And again, we're dealing just with black. So everything's going to be 0 except black. I'm going to go 100% on that nose. All right, now I want that orange to be my next level. So I'm going to click on this orange. I'm going to make it, say, 85, 90%. I want to do all the orange. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click select same fill color, and it selects all my orange. That way I can take every bit of it and do it at the same time instead of having to click on each one. And I'm going to do it 85%. And so I would just keep going with each color until I got what I wanted, and that is this file right here. So I would simply take this file, bring it into Rasterlink, do my 5 colors using Job Creator. Then I would I could take this one or I could take this one as long as and then print it on top. And then I've got my, that's the wrong one. Let me see. I take this one. That's my original, or this one. So I could take either one and print it on top to get my color. So that's how we create texture from Illustrator. We image trace it. We pick what color we want to be high. We make it 100% black. What color we want to be basement. We make it 100% white. or zero, it doesn't matter, either one. And then we do a percentage of black on everything else to give us the steps that we want. And so that's how we do it in Illustrator. And now we're going to get into how we do it in Photoshop. All right, so here we are in Photoshop. We are going to talk about how we can select and manipulate inside Photoshop to give us our texture. Now, you're going to learn some ways to color replace and do some interesting things that might be useful for more than just creating texture. But the object, again, for creating texture is dark is high, light is low. So we look at our image and we ask ourselves, what do we want to be high? We make it dark. What do we want to be low? We make it light. So before we get into this is our image we're going to use. We're going to talk about a couple of tools. So this is a picture of Charlotte. Used it as a backdrop for a PowerPoint a little while back, so it just happened to be here. So let's talk about selection. So the first thing we want to do is select an area that we're going to manipulate. So we've got a rectangle marquee that we can just grab and make a rectangle and select. Unless we're working with geometrical shapes, it is usually not real useful. But one thing we can do is, so you can click on it, and then you can switch to another tool, and then you can finish off from there. So I can start with one tool, make my selection, click to another. So the marquee tool, you can do a rectangle or you can do an ellipse, or we call it a circle where I come from. The lasso tool, you can just draw. I didn't click it. The lasso tool, you can just draw around an object. And again, we can start with the lasso tool, get kind of what we want, and then we can flip over to the next tool, which is the quick select tool, and we can fine tune it by just kind of pushing out to the edges. So the way the quick select tool works is we push, it will go to the next thing that it sees and stops there. If you go too far, you hit the Alt and you can push it back in. So we can bring this back in where it jumped out too far. And see, now I pushed too far in, so I'm going to come in and just push out to here. And so that is our quick select tool. Object selection uses, and first thing I'm going to do is go back over here to quick select. All right, hit adjust. All right, so I'm going to do object select. Object select uses artificial intelligence, and it finds what's going on in the picture. So it's finding all the buildings, or it's finding the sky. And see how when it finds an area, it changes it to a magenta hue to let you know what it's selected. So I can select this individual building, or I can select every building, or I can select the sky. And again, it's using artificial intelligence. We're going to flip over to this picture. And so notice this select people. So now when I click on Hugh, or I can click on Judy, and I can select them. But also I can just select his sweater. I can just select her sweater. Or I can select just the red shirt. So it comes in real handy for selecting just an object. People talk about Adobe versus Corel. The reason I really strongly prefer Adobe is because the artificial intelligence and the tools that it has are really amazing, and it can really speed you up and help you with some of these tasks. So we can select by area, or we can select by color. And the quick select tool, the object select, the lasso, and the marquee select by area. Magic wand tool selects by color. So we'll go back to Charlotte, click on the sky, magic wand, click on the sky, and it will select an area of the sky. Now, we went over the magic wand tool and how you use it in a previous video. I'll give you a link to that. It was a couple of weeks ago. But we can use the magic wand tool to select colors by color. And also we can select by area. Then we can select by color inside that area. So once we select, then we can manipulate. Give you a quick example. So we're going to come over here. We're going to use the object selection. Going to select her sweater. Excuse me, her shirt underneath her sweater. Then we're going to come down here, and this is how this is going to work. We go down to this create new fill or adjustment layer. We right click, and we're going to go hue saturation. And we're going to drag this button around and watch what happens. We can change her sweater to any color that we want. But the reality of it, folks, it's bulldog red. I don't know why you'd want to change it from any other color. So we're going to leave it like it is. But that's how selecting and then creating a mask and manipulating the color works. All right, so we're going to get into this guy and we're going to make it a texture file. We're going to spend a little bit of time here. So if we go to our object selection, there's not a lot in here that it can select because this is a lot of nuances and a lot of texture going on, so it really can't find anything. So that tool's not going to be very useful. There's no geometric shapes. There's no way that we're going to select with the lasso tool or any of these things. So we're going to rely on our quick select and our magic wand to select inside this. So the first thing we're going to ask ourselves is, what do we want high and what do we want low? And in this one, we want the white to be high and we want our background to be low. So what I'm going to do on this guy right off the bat is I'm going to invert it. And that's something that you just have to ask yourself early on in the process, or at some point in the process, am I going to invert it? So I'm just going to go to Image, Adjustments, Invert. And now I'm a lot closer to what I want because my white letters are now darker. So now I'm going to start manipulating this. So what I'm going to do is I want to select this outer band, and I want to give it more darkness than that. So I'm going to go with my selection tool, and I'm just going to start running down through here. Now, in the interest of time, I would run all the way around it, but I'm not going to. We're just going to select this one area right now. So pretend I had ran all the way around it. So now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to Hue Saturation. And now I'm going to take that area and I'm going to make it darker. See how I can make it darker? I can change my saturation. But you know what? I'm losing a lot of my contrast when I do that. So I actually don't like that. So I'm going to show you a different tool. I'm going to delete that. And we're going to right click and we're going to use one of my favorite tools for contrast, which is curves. And curves will allow me to bring my black in. So I'm just going to click right here in this corner. I'm going to start dragging to the left. And as I do, see how it gets darker? Then I can drag the top down. And I can kind of find my way and get it darker without losing my contrast. So I really like curves for creating contrast. So I've got that. Now I'm going to come down here to this flower and I want to manipulate it. So I'm going to click and I'm just going to start shaping that flower. And again, I'm going to use my clicking and dragging to select. I'm going to do Alt to push it back and not select the center, just select the leaves. Now I could spend some time doing this, but we're close enough here to give you an example of what we're talking about. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to curves. Going to make this guy darker. So I like that. So I would do that with all of these. Then I would come to my background and maybe reduce it a little bit. So I'm going to keep playing with this, and then eventually I'm going to end up with this. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to go image, mode, grayscale. And now I've got a grayscale image, and that's pretty good. That's going to make a nice texture file. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go image, adjustments, brightness, contrast. I'm going to go over here to my brightness contrast and say I can go darker to give me more texture, and then I can move my contrast because I don't want to lose my nuances. I don't want to lose my texture. So if I drag it this way, I get a little more texture. And I'm going to go with this right here. Now we could, again, I had taken the time to darken all these other ones, but that's what we're going to end up with. And we're going to bring this in, and we are going to make our 5-layer and print that. And we're going to have a really nice texture file. And when we put our color on top of it, it's going to look really good. It's going to look like a hand-stitched hat patch. So that's how we work inside of Photoshop. And I will tell you, just to clarify a couple of things, we're going to come back to this guy. I'm going to back out of some of the stuff that we did. All right. When we create our masks, we select a layer. So we're going to do image, adjustments, invert. And let's say we want to make this, we're going to select this. Use the magic wand tool. Select all of that black. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to make a curves. I'm going to make it a little darker. And then when I'm done making it darker, and I'm going to drag here where I don't lose my contrast. Then when I'm done, I'm going to select both layers and I'm going to right click. I'm going to go flatten. And I tend to flatten as I go where I don't get confused about what I've done and what I hadn't done. And, you know, they talk about destructive versus non-destructive, but when you got Control Z, as far as I'm concerned, everything's non-destructive. And then you can save as you go. But that's what we do. We pick an area, manipulate it, then we flatten it, pick another area, manipulate it. So that's how we select. The one thing I haven't shown you is selecting by color. So again, we're going to back out of this and get back to our color. And we're going to select by color, manipulate. So let's say we want to take this yellow tan color and we're going to make it darker. We can go select color range. And then we just click. And everything white inside this little preview is what we're going to manipulate. The fuzziness, if I go down on it, I select less. If I go more, I select more. So we're going to go right here. We're going to click OK. And we're going to click and we're going to go curves. And again, we're just going to drag. And make it darker. So we can also select by a specific color and change that color as well. And I also could have done that. And we're going to delete this layer. So that is another way to select. So again, we're going to select by color or by area. Then we're going to manipulate it using hue, saturation, curves, brightness, contrast, and then get it to where it looks like this. And then one more tool that sometimes I want to use, I'm going to go Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to go Equalize. And that Equalize sometimes will just give you a better basement. So I will click on it. If I like what it did, I'll use it. If I don't like, I'll hit Control Z. In this case, I actually like it because it's giving me a better basement. So again, Image, Adjustments, Equalize. See, that just gave me a little better basement, gave me some more interesting contrast, brought back some of the texture that I had lost in this background. So I do like that one. So I would just save this, and that's how we would use it. So that's how we work in Photoshop. And next, we're going to talk about how we're going to use AI, artificial intelligence, to manipulate files. All right, so let's talk about how we can use artificial intelligence, GP chat, whatever you use, to help you with some of your files. So what you can do is if you have a file that's not quite what you want, so let's take this file and say we want the stitches to be a little more defined. We can bring this into AI, and this is what I did. I loaded my file in here. I said make the stitches bigger and bolder without changing the graphics, and it came out with this guy right here. So I went from this to this. I went from this to this. And I think that file there would actually be a lot easier to work with. I worked with the other file, but gives you an example of what I should have done before I made this video, huh? All right, so here's another example. Let's say you're not real good at changing color and you want to get as close as you can in AI before you ever bring it into Photoshop, or you're not even going to use Photoshop. What we can do is this one. I just said make the words darker, but don't change the graphics. And this is what I got. I got this. Now, that does not look very good as far as printing goes, but for texture, this file is not going to be bad at all. And because it registers up to the file it was made from, I could actually create my texture from this and then print this on top of it. So there are some things you can do. Another example I'll give you is I had this stained glass and I was going to make it texture. It's going to do the stained glass effect, and I really wanted my black lines to jump out. So I spent 20 minutes. This was actually at Stephanie and I were working on this. I spent about 20 minutes trying to trace this black, but it was dark down here. I just couldn't get a good black. So finally I said, why don't I let AI do it? And I went into AI and I said, trace it as a black and white coloring book. And it gave me this, trace my lines perfectly. So I was able to take this file, create this file, which registered up perfectly. And then I could print my black texture really thick and then just print my color behind it and give it a really nice stained glass look. Or actually, in our case, I think we sandblasted, but same thing. So you can take AI and by asking it the right questions, get what you want. Let me show you what I did to get that exactly. What did I do? It's not there. But anyway, I just said, don't change my graphics, make it black and white. And I got this. So there are things you can do. You can make your, if you got a border that's light and you like the light border, but you want it to be dark to create text, you can tell AI to change it to darker border, and it will do it. Use your darker border for texture. Use your lighter border for color. So there are some things you can do with artificial intelligence to help you with your texture files. So I hope all that helped. That was a lot. This is Michael Gass, PDS Equipment. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're in the market for a machine, let me know. I'll get you a machine and get you some good training. Thanks.